Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on YouTube? Dicky546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. But let's go ahead and get into this. Alright, so all I've been hearing this offseason, especially since Galladay got signed and Rudolph got signed, and the media is pushing this narrative that Evan Ingram is some top 5 tight end just because he's athletic, even though Evan Ingram lost his probably about 2 or 3 games last year because of his hands. And that's a whole nother video that will be made about what I think about Evan Ingram this offseason. But let's get to that when we get to it. At the end of the day, I'm seeing a lot of noise about it's Daniel Jones' year, and I agree. It's his year to prove who he is, but also, it's not all up to Daniel Jones. I've been very clear about what I wanted this offseason. Very clear about what I wanted this offseason. First off, I was initially against the Kevin Zeitler move about getting rid of him, but that helped us get Galladay, Adoree Jackson, Rudolph, a lot of other people because his cap hit this season was so big. So I understood the Zeitler move, no problem with that. But I was under the impression that we were going to replace him in free agency. We didn't do that. Would I have taken a new guard, a starting guard, maybe a Matt Filer over one of the free agents that we signed? Maybe. Maybe I would look at that. But sure, okay, we didn't get one in free agency. That's fine. Now, looking towards the draft, the interior offensive line was so stacked that I thought we would get one in the second, third, fourth round. And that will be a plug-and-play starter. And one of those guys will be a plug-and-play starter that got drafted that late. It sucks that we didn't get an interior offensive lineman this offseason to replace Zeitler, which is pretty much what I said was my requirement for what I wanted this offseason. And I'm not going to whine about it. It didn't happen. But it's something that you have to consider. Because if the right side of the offensive line is a mess because Matt Parrott is struggling and the right guard is struggling, whoever plays there is struggling, we cannot expect a consistent offense. No, now sure, there will be games I believe that Daniel Jones will just be able to just throw the ball and make the best of his situation and be able to still score even though you've got problems on the right side of the line. But at the end of the day, the right side of the offensive line is what it is. It's the entire right side of the line across from after the center. So those guys have to step up. Those guys need to play better than what they did last year. Matt Parrott had some flashes last year where he looked really good. Shane Lemieux, if he starts there, he had some flashes where he looked good, but he never really looked good in pass blocking. I'm concerned about that. I'm being completely honest with you. I'm just concerned about that right guard spot. That's one thing. And then the second thing is this. How does a player, as a rookie, now sure, NFL teams get film. NFL teams change their coverage. Blah, blah, blah. We get it. But how does someone as a rookie come in and play, 12 games? And throw 24 touchdowns, only 12 interceptions. Now, sure, he had the fumbling issues. And that's something that I'm sure that they were very adamant about him fixing. And I'm sure that he's done a really good job fixing most of the fumbling issues, the awareness issues, especially in the second half of this past season. But how does someone go from throwing that many touchdowns, being that productive, having that much of a green light, to all of a sudden throwing 11, which is less than a touchdown per game that he played, which is horrific, which is not the quarterback that we saw as a rookie. And at times, Daniel Jones looked better as a player on the field, going through his reads, figuring out, decision-making, because there were a lot of dropped interceptions his rookie year. He was a better football player, 100%, a better quarterback, better understanding of the game. Everything slowed down for him in his second year. So why did that translate to only 11 touchdowns? Well, I'm going to point the finger at Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett didn't do much to help his quarterback out. If you look at the tape, there's times where you got 5 players running curl routes. Are you kidding me? You got 5 players running curl routes. You got 4 or 5 players running routes that put them in the same area of the field to where you have 2 guys looking at the quarterback with their hands up. And I'm right here. And then my teammate, his hands are right here. So we have to be more aware with how we design these plays, because when you have two people bunched up like that, just looking at the quarterback, I don't know if that's because the receivers were so bad they just ran the wrong route, but I'm very sure that that was installed in the offense because it was like that at the time. And I understand the logic of it. Jason Garrett is thinking if there's two guys right there, they have to pick who to defend. But if there's man coverage and you have two people standing in the same place, you also have two DBs. And if there's a linebacker playing zone underneath, you always have that guy. So you basically have canceled out two players, canceled out two receivers, and you put your quarterback in a horrible situation, especially at a time where his offensive line wasn't blocking well. So I 100% absolutely need Jason Garrett to call better games. I don't know if he designed those plays or if Freddie Kitchens designed those plays or whoever designed those plays. I'm very sure that Jason Garrett did it. I would assume that he did it, but he had a lot of great play designs, a lot of really good play designs, but he did not use them. He just didn't use them. Freddie Kitchens, when he came in, he was a lot more vertical with Colt McCoy, and I would have loved to see him with Daniel Jones, but we have got to be more aggressive as a football team on offense. We cannot put up 16, 17 points a game. That is just not good enough. Now, what do I expect from Kenny Golladay this year and the guys that we've added in this year? I expect them to make this team better, but we still do not have a Devontae Adams and a Julio Jones. Now, we're hoping that Golladay can develop into one of those people, but we don't have a top 3 receiver. I think PFF ranked Kenny Golladay as a 19th guy. I wouldn't say 19th. He's probably a little bit higher than that, but he's a number 1 receiver. Don't get me wrong. He's a number 1 guy, and he's going to help Daniel Jones a ton. But we do not have a top 2, 3 receiver in the league where it doesn't matter what happens. This guy is just going to always be open. He's just, we don't have that kind of player. And I'm hoping that Kenny Golladay can be that player this year. But as far as proven, we just don't have it. So Jason Garrett has to still be creative in this offense. Now, I expect Kyle Rudolph to come in and Kyle Rudolph to be that safety blanket in that short to intermediate area where Evan Ingram really was horrible in. He was, awful. And you never want to see Evan Ingram run another stick route because, first off, he slips on the routes. He drops passes. He's in the wrong spot. You just don't want Evan Ingram running those routes in the middle of the field because it seems like whatever anxiety he has about catching the football, when he's looking directly at the quarterback and his hands are up and he's open, he's going to drop that ball and it's getting popped into the air and they're turning into turnovers. So Kyle Rudolph in the middle of the field, he's comfortable doing that. He's going to always catch those passes. If not, I would hope he doesn't throw them up in the air. And now Evan Ingram gets to be a big slot for us, a move tight end for us. He can run those seams. He can run those drag routes. He can run those tight end screens. All of those plays that he's been able he hasn't been able to do because of some reason that offenses have been trying to use him as a traditional tight end. And that's one thing I appreciated about Pat Shurmur. He constantly had Evan Ingram running drags, still didn't use him on the seams, but he constantly had him running routes that would utilize his speed because Evan Ingram is not some elite route running tight end. He's extremely fast, and we need to put him on drags and on seams and on routes that take advantage of that speed that he has at tight end. He's probably a 240, 238, 240 something. Might be a little bit lighter than Kelvin Benjamin, and he's probably running a high 4.3, low 4.4s at this point. So we have to get him the ball in places that he can run. He doesn't have to be too agile after the catch because he's not the most agile or he's not the best with the yak stuff. But we've got to get him the ball on the move. Look what happened last year against the Buccaneers. We got him the ball on the move and he scores. You don't want Evan Ingram catching the ball at a static position because that's not his strength. Kyle Rudolph, sure, that's his strength. But Evan Ingram, he has to be on the move. And the same thing for Sterling Shepard. Get him the ball on the move. It's just these passes where we're throwing these curl routes, where we're throwing these comeback routes. Sometimes they work. on these. I remember Golden Tate ran like a curl route on a 3rd and 19, and he ran that curl route and ran it perfectly and caught the football right 1 yard behind the first down marker. That's very rarely going to happen. And even when it does happen, if you catch the ball and you're looking at the ball and you're waiting for it to come to you, you're probably not going to get much yak after the catch. So I need Jason Garrett to step up this year. I need the offensive line to step up this year, along with Daniel Jones, because Daniel Jones can make a great leap this year. He can, for some way, defy the laws of what we're seeing on the offense and just be absolutely perfect every game. Because when Daniel Jones plays perfect this past year, we get about 24 points. Now we have more weapons, so if he does just play perfect every game and defies the laws of Jason Garrett's offense, he would have taken a huge step. But just look at it like this. Daniel Jones this year will have to play perfect just for our offense to be good. If Jason Garrett steps his game up and the offensive line, Shane Lemieux steps his game up in the pass blocking game, if Daniel Jones plays perfect all year this year, we're going to have an elite offense, a top tier offense. I'm not as worried about us being 30 something or 31 or 29, but we can be a top 10 offense this year. We have all the talent in the world. We can be that top 10 offense, and we can really, we can be that instead of things holding us back and all of a sudden Jason Garrett has us as the 18th ranked offense when we could be so much better. If you made it this deep into the video, come on, just hit the subscribe button. I make Giants content primarily, draft content secondarily, and during the season I'm going to be doing a lot of reacting to pretty much most of the NFL games and everything NFL. So if you made it this deep, go ahead and join the D6 squad.